So to begin the year, I want to talk about my favorite tech from 2021. Let's go over 10 things that were my favorite tech of 2021. In no specific order, these are just a list of devices that I really like. Number 1, the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It is still my daily driver. I've tested numerous phones, which you can look at on my channel, but I've found that the Z Fold 3, just because of its new form factor or the folding factor in general, having that multiple screens, small outside screen for quick tasks, for texting and for looking at web pages, etc. Small, fast tasks, and then that awesome 7-inch tablet screen that can fold out. The benefit really with the Fold 3 is several things that I've mentioned in my full review, but the 120 Hz refresh screen on both the external and the internal. A lot with the hinge to sustain durability. It now has some water resistance. Of course, because of the hinges on these devices, it's still not the greatest for dust. The internal screen, even on the second generation, I did own the second generation for a while, and I had issues with the protective screen cover eventually getting bubbles from the creasing of opening and closing the phone. Even the built-in screen protector this time around on the internal screen is way better. The Fold 3 just offers a new form factor that you don't get with your standard candy bar style phones. Sure, it's a little heavier, but you get so many different new solutions to problems that you may have, primarily with multitasking. And this is why, still to date, it is my favorite phone of the year. Number 2, the Z Flip 3. This takes a whole different type of portability. The Z Flip 3 is kind of in the same scenario as the Fold 3. It's been refined again this year. The hinge is much better. It has the water resistance as well. Some of the other major factors is the 120 Hertz, and even the outside display is much more usable. That's the big thing with this one. You can actually see your text. You can even activate the camera and take pictures from the little external outside camera lens. You have more features with the external screen than you ever did before, and it actually makes it usable. Would I still like Samsung to get to like the Razr, which has a much bigger screen on the outside? Fingers crossed, hopefully that'll be coming in the next generation or two. But regardless of that, it is a way better phone this year. Durability is way better, and I think it's a form factor that for the masses is more preferred. It's still a very lightweight device. Aesthetics wise looks better. And then the cameras. So the Ultra line on the S line of phones is still Samsung's flagship, and that's great, but I feel at the cost that you're paying for either the Fold or the Flip, we should get those high quality cameras as well, especially on the Fold. Number 3, the S21. Yes, I know, I'm hitting the Samsung phones all at once. I have other phones on the list. Keep with me on this. S21 Ultra. It's just an overall powerhouse. It is your ultimate Android phone of the year, really, for power and for cameras. Some skins isn't your thing, I definitely recommend the Pixel 6. But regardless, other than that, Samsung makes the great screens on it. You have the 120 Hertz refresh rate. You have top of the line 888 Snapdragon. It's still one of the most popular phones of the year, and it's sold really well even around Christmas. And the great thing is, since the S line comes out at the beginning of the year, like January, February area, there was great discounts and still great discounts on the S21. Number 4 in my top 10 is on the other side. It is an iPhone, or iPhone 13s in general, the whole line. I'm really hitting on the whole line here because Apple really killed it with the whole line. And even all the way from the mini with the Mini getting the improved battery life all the way up to the Pro, and you can count the Pro Max, but I like with what they did with the Pro and the Pro Max now finally, they're back to the Pro and the Pro Max essentially being exactly the same except for screen real estate and battery. But of course, the big talk about the iPhones this year were, of course, the camera upgrades again. Of course, the cameras on the iPhones are nothing to disregard. They're always amazing. The iPhones are. Some of the extra features they released this year that was a really hot introduction was the cinematic mode. Essentially with our DSLR cameras that we use, we can fine-tune the bokeh and aperture and do the bokeh effect where it's more blurred out in the background. You can do that now with an iPhone. Just with this cinematic mode, it's all done through AI and machine learning, and it actually works really good. My only little nitpick on that I would really like Apple to improve maybe in the 14 is that cinematic mode running in 4K. When you do use it, it drops it down to 1080. Of course, with the Pro and the Pro 13, you get 3 lenses. So you get your main, your wide, and your telephoto. So unless you're looking for that telephoto lens, you're going to get just as great of cameras out of the Mini and the regular. On to number 5 in this list, and that is our last phone that I'm going to talk about, and that is the Pixel 6. There was the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Both are great phones. I lean towards the 6 just because of the price factor. Google knocked it out of the park on this generation by the price and the first generation using their own custom silicon processor. They're running about the same spec level as an 888 processor from Qualcomm. The only real differences between the 6 and the 6 Pro is the higher bump in resolution for the 6 Pro from a 1080p panel. They're still AMOLED displays. It's just the resolution is 1080p on the 6 where it's 1440 on the 6 Pro. So you're still getting a great phone either way. It's the other big factor that you're losing over the Pro is just the third lens, the telephoto. The telephoto is actually a really good telephoto lens this year too. They have gone with actually adding an optical lens in it that actually can go up to 4 times optical, which typically most phones we're seeing maybe max out at 3x. A lot of them do 2x still, so good on Google for bumping up that telephoto. But I think the 6 out of the 6 and 6 Pro is still the better option just because of the price. Google knocked it out of the park by cutting just specifically what they needed and undercutting their competitors on price. All right, on to number 6. Now we're talking about gaming stuff. So my favorite 2 things out of gaming this year was the Nintendo OLED Switch. Sure, it didn't end up having the new processor, which we were kind of hoping for. Sure, it can't output at 4K in the dock. Yeah, these are all things we were actually really hoping for, but I highly suspect they had to pull back on what they were expecting or wanting out of production because of the chip shortage. You still get quite a bit of reduced bezels on the OLED model, and of course it's an OLED, so the quality, the contrast, the colors are definitely noticeable over the original Switch. If you already have the original Switch, sure, this is definitely not a must upgrade, and it also has a better kickstand. 7 on this list is Halo Infinite Elite controller. Essentially for me, I'm just a huge Halo fan. I'm so happy that 343 took their time, took the extra year, and now has Infinite out. and it's a phenomenal game. The multiplayer is awesome, and the campaign is even better than that. But with the controller, it's an Elite controller pretty much. It's your Elite 2 controller. You have the custom triggers on the back. You have the 3 presets you can make. You can customize your button mapping. All that is exactly the same. You even have the standard charging cradle that comes with the case, and you can fit it all inside the case. All that is exactly the same. It's just the design, or the coloring and design they did to the controller to match Halo theme. I think Microsoft did a phenomenal job. On to peripherals at this point. I've got 3 things to go over that's left in my top 10. So, Insta360 Go 2. This is something that came out early in the year in a form factor of a little device that looks like you're carrying around a pair of AirPods or something. Is so nice, and just having something that is essentially the size of or width of a finger is just incredible, that this can be packed in a action camera. And the little stand that comes with it, it even has a kickstand. Of course, it has your mount for tripods. Battery life is pretty great on it. I haven't really encountered any overheating issues. And of course, the magnets that you can use with the pendant or the putting it on your ball cap. I just find that flawless. I got this shortly before a vacation I went on recently, and I used it for a family vacation, so I just had it on the magnetic pendant a lot. Or if I wanted to pan around and get shots, I would move it to my cap. Phenomenal. And it was a family trip, so I still left my hands open to do stuff with the kids, play with the kids, while I'm also getting this family footage. So if you're looking for an action camera and one that's waterproof outside of this case, I don't think you can go wrong with the Insta360 Go 2. On to number 9. Number 9 is the Sony WF-1000 XM4. These are Sony's newest earbuds. I've actually had some difficulty with earbuds this year just because of I have some weird shaped ears. I have to have different shaped earbuds in each ear. I've just had some issues with it, and this case is a little bit bigger than some of the other headphones that came out this year, but the audio quality you get on these, the app for customizing the EQ is, in my opinion, the best you can get out of in-ear headphones. And last on this list is number 10, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. This watch was in partnership a lot with Google this time around, and the big change, and it is a very big change, the big change is Samsung has left the Tizen OS on the watches they were using, and now we are on Wear OS, like all the other Android watches. This is skinned to Samsung, definitely. It has a bunch of Samsung apps on it, different watch faces that are only Samsung. Its core, it is still Wear OS, but there's a lot that is Samsung going on. This is the classic, and it even has the rotating bezel on it. I think it's the best smartwatch you can get for an Android if you want a fully capable smartwatch for Android or a competitor to the Apple Watch. You have all your normal sensors like GPS, cell, heart rate sensors. The heart rate sensor is much more reliable than it was on Tizen. It's a new one as well. And of course, Samsung apps are really good for fitness tracking. I've actually gone to this over a heart rate monitor strap or armband now for my workouts because of the reliability is so good. So if you're looking for an Android watch, I would highly recommend the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. And even if you don't have a Samsung phone, it'll still work. You just have to install a couple extra Samsung apps on your smartphone. And that concludes my top 10 tech of 2021. What was your top tech of 2021? Was it any of the items I went over, or do you have different ones? Let me know in the comments below. And I wanted to shout out and say thank you so much for everyone that's subscribed so far in 2021. It's been amazing, and there is way more to come in 2022. And if you are not subscribed to this channel yet, sub below. Till the next one.